What's going on, guys, and welcome to Who to Sign For. Now in this series I'm giving you my recommendations on what players to sign for a specific team in career mode. Before we go on, I will say that the signings you'll see aren't designed to be realistic, and the player ratings and potentials of players may vary depending on what database you're using and how they perform for you during the season. Obviously you don't have to follow all the tips. This is really just a set of guidelines to give you a hand if you're stuck for ideas and want some suggestions on what players you could sign for a certain club. This is mainly aimed at those who are out there new to game which need a little bit of advice, or for those who are out there who want a few recommendations on what players you could sign for a team that you may be using in career mode this year. And in today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys, if you are looking for a team that is basically playing career mode in real life, there aren't many better ones than these guys. Yes, Stade Rennais of Ligue 1 in France. These guys are a fantastic team to use for an RTG, and let me tell you why. The first season's going to be a great challenge, it really is. There's a very limited budget to work with Stade Rennais. You start off after wage budget alteration of around 17 million, so it doesn't get you very far in football nowadays, as we know, and the objectives in Season 1 are really tough. You're in the Europa Conference League, and your objective is to reach the final. In the French Cup, you got to reach the quarters, and in the League, you got to get a Champions League spot. And in Ligue 1, that's top 3, not top 4, but top 3. So it's a really, really good challenge in Season 1 with Stade Rennais. But as I run you through the team here, it's a 4.5-star side. The one thing you'll notice, very simple. It's really, really young, and there's a lot of high potential players here as well. Yeah, great team to use. So as I run you through the team here again, it's a 4-star side. You will notice again, there's quite a few good youngsters, good French youngsters. You've got Treffer, Aguirre, who has of course moved on to West Ham, as we know, in this summer transfer window. Great pick up there for David Moyes. Barde, Omari is there, Suleimana and Jeremy Doku, the pacey wingers as well. You got a central midfielder that's got some good potential for the future as well. Where is he? I'll go past him in just a moment's time. There he is, Ugo Chukwu as well. It's a really young team. And what you'll notice too is that the front three is really strong too. You've got Terrier on the left. You've got Laborde, who's just been signed as your out-and-out striker. The front three is quite highly rated. So it's a very good team. I'd say the defense is the weakest area. But again, it's a really young team as well. So if you're looking for an RTG, Stade Rennais in Ligue 1 are just a fantastic choice, because it will take you about 2 or 3 years to battle with PSG for the league title, and about 4 or 5 years to battle for European trophies. And the cool thing about Stade Rennais is they've never won a major Ligue 1 title. They have won the Coupe de France a few times, but they've never won the Ligue 1 in the club's history. PSG got such a strong hold on it, as we know. Obviously, Lille and Monaco have won it in the past 10 years, but every other year, I believe, has been PSG. So you know that PSG are the strongest side in French football. Everybody knows that. They've never won a European honour. Stade Rennais are starving for major silverware, and you can bring it to them. Out of a young team, it's all about nurturing the high potential players you got and bringing in a couple more as well. So with the limited budget they've got of around 17 million, honestly, man, I would sell a couple of players, but with this Stade Rennais side, it's not a team that needs a major rebuild. Absolutely not. Why would you rebuild this side? It's already built for the future, and when you inherit it, all you need to do is bring in one first-team quality sort of player, preferably in the back four or maybe in the midfield trio, and bring in a couple of young French talents. In the end, I opted to go for one of the midfielders, a DM called Boubacar Kamara. As we know, the Marseille midfielder is joining Aston Villa for next season. Great pickup from Steven Gerrard. You can get him for under valuation at around 22 to 23 million pounds, which is an absolute bargain. And this guy starts off 80 overall with 86 potential. He's just 21 years old. He'll go right into your midfield trio as your anchor man. What I like about Camera is, if you want, Stade Rennais' back four is okay, but it could be improved upon, although it is young. If you want, you can actually convert Camera to CB and have him as a new centre-half in this team, through the heart of your defence, as the new leader in the back four, if you will, alongside Aguirre. Or you can play him in his natural holding mid. It's totally up to you. The guy's very versatile. CB or CDM, you can do both. What I would do personally, though, is keep him as the CDM in your midfield trio as your anchor man for the future and for now as well. And again, just 21 years old, 80 overall, means he'll go right in the first 11. Out of 86 potential, there's no reason he can't push to high 80s with dynamic potential. For 22 mil, 23 mil, it's an absolute bargain. So, we just had a couple of players. Martin, one of our older midfielders, and also Jeremy Gillian, who is a centre-half as well. You notice with Stade Rennais, they've they've got three really good young centre-halves. Obviously, Aguirre, who's moved on to West Ham, and a couple of French talents as well. Jeline is a 69 rated 24-year-old, though. He's probably not going to get much better than he is right now, and he's out of contract at the end of the season. So personally, I would cash in, just get a couple mil for him. You won't be able to raise much, but just a couple mil, get his salary off the books, and then bring in a young centre-half who doesn't need to be as good now, or maybe around the same overall, but has really high potential for the future. You'll notice again with Stade Rennais, because their team is so young, there's such great potential here. Again, all you've got to do is nurture the talent you inherit from the very first season and just bring in a couple more young French talents if you want as well. We signed a new left back for the future. Obviously got Traffer, who's a great left back, and also the Scandinavian that starts as well. But if you want a third choice for the reserves for emergency cover, with very little starting overall but a great potential, this guy's probably the best in French football right now. You've probably heard of him too. It's Quentin Merlin of Nantes. Now, he's a teenage talent who only starts off, I believe, 67 overall, so it's not great, but his potential is fantastic. He's got 84 potential, so he grows 17 ratings. Again, teenage talent, just 19 years old. And again, whilst you've got Traffer and you've got the Scandinavian, who'll be a starter in the first season as a third choice, he'll probably grow into be your first choice in about 4 or 5 years. If not, then coming off the bench. So yeah, it's a great little pickup for around £2 million from Nantes. Great base stats, especially going forward. And again, whilst not good enough to be a starter right now, you don't need him to be. You've got two solid left backs here already that are young enough as well. He's just there for the future. And one of the final signings I made was this guy as well. Obviously, we just sold one of our centre-halves in Jeline. We wanted to sign someone else as a fourth choice. Again, Stade Rennais have got great young defenders in their team. They've got a great young team in general, but if you were looking for a fourth choice, someone to replace the 24-year-old we sold, who's better, younger, and has super high potential to match what Stade Rennais are currently building right now, this guy's probably the best there is. Once again, in terms of French players, at least, yeah, playing for Bayern Munich now, formerly the PSG setup, Tanguy Nianzou, 19 years old, 72 rated. You can get him for around the valuation, if not under that, because he's so low rated for a high quality team, one of the best teams in the game, Bayern Munich. You can get him for around, if not under the valuation. 19 years old, 72 overall, so either good enough to go on your bench and replace Bardet, or as your fourth choice centre-half. And again, really solid defensive stats to begin with 78 strength already. He's over 6 foot, and this guy's got 85 potential, so grows 13 ratings, just like Merlin, 19 years old, and a great player for the future. So again, with Stade Rennais, you don't need to do a hard rebuild. You don't need to do any rebuild whatsoever in this team. Why would you? Because it's a young team with super high potential, some brilliant players in it, and it's set up so nicely to come in season 1. The difficulty is, it's a tough challenge. Your front three's really good. Terrier on the left, Borragel on the right, and Laborde up top, but the defense isn't the strongest. The midfield trio is alright, and in Ligue 1 you should definitely be challenging for a top 3 place, but it is going to be difficult knowing PSG will always take up one spot, so there's only 2 available. And of course, to reach the last 16 of the Cup and also win the Europa League, reach the final, of the Europa Conference League 2, they're pretty tough objectives in Season 1, I'll be totally honest, but for a long-term project, it's a lot of fun. So as per usual, we'd simulate the end of the season with our super young Stade Rennais side, see how we get on. Can we hit those 3 objectives, or would we come up short? Well, as you can see... Well, I must be honest, heading towards the end of the season, I was a little bit nervous. I didn't think we'd done too badly in the league, but I wasn't sure if we'd made the top 3 or not, and as you'll see... we didn't. We missed out by 7 points in the end to Lyon. You know, PSG are always going to win Ligue 1 in the first season. Obviously, they're the strongest team in French football. They're always going to win the championship. So, you know, there's only 2 spots available. In this save, we went to Marseille and Lyon. We are well clear of Monaco in 5th place, 10 points clear of AS Monaco in the end. We won half the games, but unfortunately... could only manage a 4th place finish. So just like in real life, 4th place, not top 3. So into the Europa League for next season, just like Stade Rennais will be doing in real life as well. It's not a terrible season. We still get European football next year in the Europa League. So it's a step up from the current season, Europa Conference League, but the board would still consider it a failure. And they considered the other 2 a failure as well. Yeah, in the Cup, we were knocked out by Marseille in the last 32, 3-2 at home as well. So the Cup would be considered a failure as well. Arsenal reached the last 16, knocked out 1 round fewer, as Strasbourg went on to win it. And in the Europa Conference League, Arsenal reached the final. Well, you would have seen it. We didn't do that. We didn't make it through the group with Spurs topping it. We got knocked out in the preliminary round to PSV Eindhoven. So, Yeah, very tough first season, but like I said at the top of today's episode, it's a brilliant team for an RTG. But I like them a lot because they're a great challenge in the first season. You've got 3 very tough objectives. I'd say the Cup is the easiest one, reach the last 16, but based on the Cup draw you get, you might be drawing against one of the big boys like we were, so that makes it quite tough. In Ligue 1, there's only going to be 2 spots available for the Champions League because you know PSG will always win the leagues. You've only got 2 and 3 available, second and third place, should say, available for you. And in the Europa Conference League, reach the final in the competition's inaugural year. That's a really tough trio of objectives in the first season, especially when you're taking over a 4-star team with a low transfer budget. The first season to me is all about survival with Stade Rennais. If you can get at least one of those 3 objectives, you'll probably be kept on for season 2. And that's when the real work begins from season 2 onwards. That's when you gotta make sure you're a guaranteed top 3 team. And from season 3, that's when you want to start challenging PSG for the title. It's an RTG though, don't forget that. Stade Rennais are a super, and I mean super young team. In fact, they're one of the youngest teams in the top 5 major European leagues in terms of the average squad age, if you will. But it's a super fun one. Once again, Stade Rennais have won the Cup a few times, but they've never won Ligue 1, so it's a project. You want to topple France for domestic dominance in, so you want to topple PSG for domestic dominance in French football as the years go by, and they've never won a European honour as well. You want to bring them there first. This is a brilliant team to use. Tough season 1, tough objectives, low budget, okay squad at best, but about as fun as it gets, man. The squad is so young, it's got such a great core, and it's great to develop over the years as well. Definitely worth a go for a challenge and an RTG too. But that went into today's episode of Who to Sign For, guys. Big fan you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't, a like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you for next episode of Who to Sign For, where hopefully we'll do a little bit better very soon.